How's it going, everybody? We are getting started right now. I am super excited to have our guest on this week. We have the one and only John from the Syndicate Union, and it's going to be a really good episode. I'm really looking forward to talking with him about the future of Airsoft, the Syndicate Union as a whole, and I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really, really good. So before we get started, there are a couple events that are coming up pretty soon. I know you guys can't hear Jacob and John as they're trying to talk in the background, but on April 9th, we are having an event at True Aim Airsoft in Roseville, California. And then on April 23rd, we are going to have our event here in Virginia at Valhalla Tactical for our Virginia Major. The Syndicate Union is also going to be having their event the weekend of the 23rd. So if you haven't already registered, I would definitely get on top of that. And I want to thank our sponsors. We have Blowback Masters, Vendetta Airsoft, or Vendetta Speedsoft, Take One Airsoft, and of course Loco Airsoft. Now let's switch over and get these guys going. If I could actually get... Here we go. Now we're not deafened. Hey guys, we're live. We're doing stuff and things.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my god. So we have some of your people in here already. Justin just said that he played at your event this past weekend at N1 and said that it was a great event. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, today's Monday. Holy cow. Totally forgot. Today's Monday. But yeah, how's it going, man? We're really happy to have you on the podcast tonight.
Dude, it's great. It's awesome that I'm talking to another league, which is great because in paintball, where I come from, everyone hates each other.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's freaking horrible.
So
the paintball community is really like that. Like you guys like hate on each other, like different leagues hate on each other type of deal.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Really
I mean, so I guess if you look at it in a competition sense, right? Not just like competitors, but the brands and leagues are competing for your attention as well, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it gets kind of deep. It gets kind of deep, but
it gets more personal than it should.
Yeah, it gets a little personal, and I really like Airsoft, man. Everyone's been really nice and doing like paintball for like since 2011, man. Yeah, it's gone through the ringer, man.
I'm sure.
Stuff, man.
So I'm curious, what made you switch from the paintball scene over to Airsoft? What was the one thing?
You know what's weird? It was COVID, so I stopped doing paintball events because the way we have our tournaments is like these guys are basically in the pit, really close to each other, breathing all over each other. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stop for like 2 years, and I sat around, and before that I was messing with Nerf for some reason because of my kids.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was weird. It's like, why not Airsoft? I mean, it's right between, and then we have a field up in NorCal called Fairfield Extreme, and we did our tournaments up there for our NorCal league for paintball. And I asked them, hey, can I run an Airsoft event up there? And they're like, yeah, come on up. Let's do it. And
nice.
We didn't know what the turnout would be, so we're using our format called Red Zone. So it's basically, it was designed to be filmed. So basically in paintball, I did a lot of things. A photographer. I was working for the PSP broadcast for the professional league for like 2 years. And then we're just watching the format, and it just didn't, filming it all day. I'm like on a stand for 8 hours filming this, and it's just like, it's not working. I don't see where the action's everywhere. It could be on the T side, snake side, down the middle, but you couldn't really follow it. So I'm like, well, hey, I'm gonna stick a buzzer on the middle snake side, and we made the buzzer worth 2 points. And if you concede, or if you play team deathmatch and kill the other team, it's only worth 1 point. So to hit the buzzer, and you can hit the buzzer multiple times. So it's not like once you hit the buzzer, the game's over. You can keep scoring on it. But when you watch it, you can watch all the action converge onto the buzzer. So you can see the plays coming. You can see a guy coming into like the 40 temples, like he's going for it. Look, he's gonna go for it. Is he gonna make it?
Right.
And everyone's just like, oh my god, you know, when they hit the buzzer and it's good, it's just crazy. So basically, the buzzer is the basketball. So we tried that up in we tried that format up in Fairfield, and we didn't know anybody up in Airsoft up in Fairfield or NorCal. We just put it out there, and we ended up getting like 8 teams to come out and try it, which was insane. I was like, I thought it like 20 kids would show up, maybe 10.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just snowballed. It snowballed. We got 8, and then the next time we got 15, then we got 20, and then 18.
That is one thing I will say about our airsoft community is word of mouth amongst us spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
I mean, out here, there's a field that we're actually going to be hosting our event at, 2 events at Valhalla. The minute there was even just like the whisper of like, this field's going to be open, they weren't even open yet. Like they hadn't had anybody in their field yet. And everybody's like, yo, you hear about Valhalla? You hear about Valhalla? And we're like, people are like, what? And they're like, that's a field. They're like, it's not open yet, but it's going to be. And everyone's like, huh? Really? And like, yeah. And then you looked into it, and it was going to be a thing. And it now is a open and functioning field.
It looks great. I saw the pictures of it. It looks awesome, man. The field.
It is. It's a nice field, and we've been blessed with some people that are allowing us to kind of like get away with murder with the field. Yeah, I mean, anything that we want to move, we've been able to move. If we want to build stuff, we can build stuff. And they've been really great about, you know, just saying, yeah, go for it. But I wanted to touch back for the buzzers and having it be like the camera point. So we started doing the Gauntlet series or Fight Night with KWA, and we had to think about the same sort of things. And I started thinking about like King of the Hill. It's a central point. I know where they have to go. They have to come here. It's easy to take footage of that. And some of the game modes, it's the same thought process. And it's really cool that you incorporated that into a 5v5 platform, because if we want to move the sport any further, it's got to become a spectator sport. You got to get more people into watching it, which is difficult, because if you run the same thing like paintball, like you said, there's so much action. Unless you have like cameramen like the NBA or the NFL, and they're covering like 6 or 7 different dudes for the possibilities, you're not getting those angles. It's just too much.
Yeah, it's I've like in paintball, I've talked to like the higher up guys, and MPPL was on ESPN like years ago. I don't know, 2010 I think, or I think back then. But yeah, I talked to one of the promoters, and he was just telling me like ESPN said, hey man, there's just too many people on the field. We can't cover this. You got 7 guys. Okay, so MPPL is like 7-on-7 center flag. And it's like 14 guys running, and you have no idea what they're doing. So they only had maybe they had like 5 or 6 cameras out there and a crane out, but they still couldn't like capture the action. They couldn't capture what the commentators were talking about. It was too hard. So they actually said, hey man, you got to break it down, do 3v3 or 1v1 just so we can follow the action. So yeah, it's a difficult sport to capture on film.
And in our sports, given the fact that they're both very similar, paintball and airsoft, is things happen in such a split of a second.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Happened. Like, how did that guy just get out? If you miss it, you miss it. And it's like, whereas in football or like basketball, you have one central up.
Yep.
You can follow the action. You're not having to follow the player. On our sport, it's a very player-based moment. It's player on player, so it's like you have to see what that player is doing or players in order to capture the action, and that's a very difficult concept to manage, at least in like those finer tuned angle aspects. If you get it in a broad view, you know, like at the 50, at the breakouts, yeah, those are easy shots that anybody can, you know, kind of adapt to and figuring out. But to get those narrower shots or those tighter up close player personal shots and still following something that's fun to watch in an action and entertainment perspective is definitely very difficult.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. I think the other thing too that people might underestimate is the value of like really good commentators, people who really know the sport, are energetic about it. It gets like I just think about listening to football games on the radio when you're on the highway. And you just hear these dudes like going off, or even like soccer commentators. Jesus Christ! If you're not watching soccer on Telemundo, you're not doing it right. Like, just to hear these guys commentate is crazy. You don't even have to watch; you can just listen to their voices. But
well, not only that, they paint such a vivid image in your head.
right.
The way they just break it down because they're so good at their job and know the sport so well, to the point where they know what you need. They know what they need to say in order to get you to visualize what's actually happening.
Yeah.
That's very valuable, and you don't get that a lot in a lot of. You get it in some, but not all.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, for a commentator, it's really hard because you have to please the hardcore guys.
Yeah.
But then again, you're gonna have to understand, like, a lot of people don't know what they're watching. You have to keep them involved in it.
Right.
So, like, the commentary guys I try and get are guys that are funny guys to make you laugh. They can talk about what's going on in the field, but then they can make, little crack jokes here and there, but keep the rapport going, and people just like, oh, I want to keep watching. I can't stop watching it because these guys are crazy. So, but that's the thing. It's like some commentators are just strictly, he's at the D2. Okay, he's going to make his move and blah, blah, blah. And then the guy who doesn't really know anything about the sport, they're like, okay, what is a D2? And why is he going to move over there? And, it's like a really... You have to find the right guy to keep them involved and understanding.
There's
typically the best commentators are, in my opinion, current or former players in any sport. Like one of my favorite commentators, even though I hated him as a player because I'm a Washington fan, one of my favorite commentators to listen to for NFL is Tony Romo, because he breaks down the play before it's going to happen because he was a quarterback, so he knows what he's looking at on offense and defense, scheme-wise, but then also, like, it's funny. He's just a goofy.
What's up, everybody in the chat? I'm not ignoring you. I see you.
That moment well, and so like he's one of my favorites to listen to. Whereas like the normal, just like, hey, Fox hired these guys because they're great at talking.
Yeah, right.
They kind of bore me.
Right.
But not,
oh man.
What's up, TJ?
So your button, I guess, for your tournament is in a sense what the flag, the center flag for us, is supposed to represent, but it doesn't always happen because the mentality of the sport and the different ways you can score and add up points, it makes it more of a chess game, and so some people opt out of going for the flag, at least early on, and save it for later. Or they're the teams who, full send, balls to the wall, go get it. Or the teams who try and get it in the middle of the match, right? Whenever they think they have a move to go get it. But not as much, in my opinion, not as much action happens around that flag grab as you would probably like to see as an entertainer watching. Right?
Oh god, there's like massive action on the buzzer because the thing is you can score multiple times, and it's awesome because when you hit the buzzer and it's good, you hear. We have a PA system that announces it. Basically, it's a red zone countdown. It's a red zone, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then after the announcement goes on the PA, you can hit the buzzer again. So we had this guy was killing it yesterday. He basically there was a small cake bunker like right in front of the buzzer, and there's a guy behind the cake in the snake. The guy just basically shadowed. He was just right under. The guy didn't know he was there, and he was like hitting the buzzer like 2 times. He was just there. It was awesome. It was just like, damn. Yeah, the guy, he was right in front of him, not more than like 7 feet in front of the guy. It was hilarious.
That's
and
great.
But yeah, stuff like that always happens, and we have people camp the buzzer where. So I tell the players, like, look, man, it's not about killing everyone out. You want to get that one guy and leave him in. Hold them down and just hold on to the bumper. We have guys like we'll camp the buzzer, just boom, hold the guy down, buzzer, scoring like up to like 20 points in one game. So it's like if you lose, the great thing is if you lose 2 games and you kill it in the third game, you can still win. So it's not like if you're down 2 games, you're just basically shit out of luck.
So let me ask you a question then for your
Yeah.
scoring, right? So like if you're doing best 2 out of 3, right? And at the end of that best 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3, however many that tends to go, does the winner of that set go based solely on the points they acquired, or is
Yes.
it done by who won the match? Like,
Okay.
points?
No, it's the top score out of the match. So we do 3 games in 1 match.
Okay.
So whoever has the top score wins
Out of all
the
3.
match. So I mean, you could lose the first 2 games, but in the third game, if you like rack it up like 20
Okay.
points, you can win the match. So we count. So right now we're counting the buzzers are 2. If you concede the other team, meaning shoot everyone out on their team, you get 1 point. If you have live players, you're the winning team. You have live players. Each player is counted as 1 point. So that's how we score our red zone.
So I don't know
Format.
if you're familiar with our scoring format. It's similar but slightly different. So it's out of 100 points.
Okay.
Every player on the field is 5 points. So that's 25 in total. Or sorry, yeah, 25.
Yeah, 25. You did math.
Yep. I'm a little rough at it, but so it's 25 points for one team. 25 for another team. The flag grab, if you're the first team to the center and grab that flag and have that first possession, that's 25 points. If you hang the flag at the end of the match, that's 50 points.
50 points, okay.
Yeah, and then
I mean,
whatever you got elimination points. So like
Yeah,
if you
it's-
eliminated all those players, that's 25. If you were the first team to grab the flag, that's 25. So you're now sitting at 50. And if you hang it, that's 50. So if you did all 3 of those things, you score 100 points. If you hang the flag with a player left, you get the cojones bonus, which is 15 points, I think.
Yeah, 15 points. Sorry, I lagged out for a second.
Yeah.
I mean-
115 points is the max you can obtain. But
Gotcha.
But we use the points not as a determined winner. We use it as like a tiebreaker. So like when we get down into the finals, like if whoever has the most points from every match that they've compiled throughout the entire tournament, when it gets down to those top 2 teams, if they end up drawing, whoever had the most points
Right.
wins.
Got it. Yeah, same thing with us. It's like we count the matches 1 first, and then total points after that if it ties up. But yeah, it seems more reminiscent of like MPPL, like that 7-man I was talking about. That's kind of the scoring that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So
like a lot of what we do, or the Speedsoft community does, whether it's Speed QB, the CSL, or other variants and leagues, is a lot of it is excuse me, replications of like paintball, right? Like because that's where this particular sport started or came from, or at least this style of it was paintball. So a lot of it's going to be emulated from that with its own twists and turns, like you guys have the buzzer, I know, and in some paintball leagues, I don't know if it was yours that I've seen or others, because I've watched various different ones. Some have the buzzer, some have the flag on the pole, some don't have it at all.
Yeah, it's over the years they switch back and forth, and yeah.
So it's like I said, it's one of those things that it's different everywhere you go, but I'm okay with that. I would much rather have multiple different styles of the same thing and have variety than have it all be carbon cut, copy, paste. This is the same everywhere you go.
So
Exactly.
This is a really good segue because what I was going to ask is, John, I would assume your answer would be the same as mine, but just in case, like, how do you feel about like the different leagues that are starting to present themselves, not only in the U.S. but now on a global scale? You have different leagues over in Europe that are starting to pop up.
No, it's awesome. It was weird. So really, I've been in this for like a year now, and at the beginning, I guess I only knew of like Speed QB. I saw that what they're doing. I'm like, okay, and then I saw you guys, and I'm seeing all these other things popping up, which is great. And the more the merrier. It just gets more kids out creating teams, and you know what? There's room for everyone. You know, it doesn't have to be just one person doing everything.
Yeah.
There's room for everyone. You know, it's a big place, and I think there's a ton of speedsofters out there just waiting to join a team.
Yeah.
And it's just, you just need to have that. I think, you know, all these leagues showing what they have, people, you know, get like, they want, it makes them more want to join a team, and hopefully, you know, the fields will understand. It's like, hey, we should have some kind of Speedsoft arena or something that these kids can create teams, because it's going to make money for them either way.
Right.
Know? And they got to understand that. It's like, man, you're going to make money if you even build it, even if it's the Speedsofters don't come, they can still use it for rec ball. But you know what? Why not have one of those? Because what we see in paintball is a lot of the fields will have a speedball field.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't. But the thing is, the ones that do is like these kids play in the rec ball like for, you know, years or whatever, and then they get bored. They're like, I want to do something else. But the cool thing is, they look over to the other side, like, hey, look at these guys.
Yeah, and
that's pretty awesome.
In paintball, you just hear,
yeah,
and then smacking the bunkers.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, it's like these little kids are watching the big kids over here. It's like, one day I'm going to be that big kid. I'm going to grow the balls to go onto that field.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's what they should be doing for Airsoft.
I agree with that completely, because at PEVs, one of the local fields near me for
PEVs? Oh wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
they have a speedball field, and the first thing when you're doing your admission and everything right at that counter and getting your tank fills,
yeah,
the
man.
speedball field is the field that is right there. So
Yep.
you see it, you hear it, you see all the professionals, and all the kids are like watching while they're waiting in line for the rentals. As these guys are just doing, you know, practicing or whatever. It's not like anything official. Or
It's
they're just
total
doing,
eye candy. Total eye
Oh,
candy.
yeah.
Exactly what it is, and especially for the sport, when you're like, oh, these guys have that marker, they have that pod pack.
I'll tell you what, like,
It's like,
NR paintball, it's another field out here, but they took it to the next level, because the speedball field that's right in front of their counter is also the pro practice field.
yeah.
So
Oh, nice.
Baltimore Revo plays out there. I know they had ML Kings and a couple other guys from New Jersey and New York come down. And I remember the first day I went out there, they were practicing, and me and Carlos, we were just looking like, dude, these guys are going crazy. I'm just standing at the freaking netting, just like, let's go! It was great.
It gets you pumped, dude. It gets you
It does.
pumped, you know?
I love it.
It's like, that's the one thing, the reason I ended up asking Keegan when he put together his team without knowing about the league coming into play at all, was that very reason. I've played Airsoft for 12 plus years now. I started when I was 12, I'm 26. And I played rec play so many times, and in indoor fields in particular. And you know, it gets boring. It gets to a point where, like, especially when you're a competitor like myself through and through, you get to the point where, like, you kind of mastered all the skills you really can for rec play, and then you're just like, okay, shooting kids who aren't as skilled back all the time. And yeah, it looks cool for like little montage clips and stuff like that on occasion. It makes you look like a better Airsoft than you are. You're going up against people who aren't.
Thank you. I had to mute my mic. Yeah.
But it's just like, I was looking for something more, and I didn't really know what that was. Like, I had heard of Speed QB. I was like, yeah, but they're not out here. Like, I'm never gonna get to play in one of their things. And I was like, and our field's probably not gonna ever do anything. I guess I'm kind of stuck. And then I happened to, like I said, sit with him at the field, and he was like, yeah, put together a team. I was like, oh, for what? And he was like, I was like, what you mean? Where we compete? And he was like, hold on, you're not on a team. And I was like, well, try. And he was like, yeah. He's like, you try out. Oh,
Shoot.
all right, cool. But like, where would all this take place? He's like, well, no, bag. I'm starting my own league. I was like, oh, okay. And here we are.
It's awesome. But yeah, it's to their detriment that they don't do this stuff for their field, because
For sure.
you lose your I mean, think about it. All these rec ball players, they're gonna get bored, and then they're just gonna leave the sport. At least they can keep them in there.
Outdoors, right? Like,
Yeah.
where there's other options.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how backwards the mindset is over here, only because I don't know, I don't get it. A lot of the field owners, I personally talk to everybody, and
Quick question. Am I louder? I know some of the guys said I was kind of low. Am I louder now?
now you're really loud.
Okay, I'll turn myself back down. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Keep going.
Yeah, a lot of fields out here, it's kind of backwards. Like, I remember a couple years back when I started talking to fields about, bringing events out, so on and so forth. Everyone was so against it. It's like,
Really?
it's like something new. I'm scared of something new. We can't do something new. We have something that works. We can't do something new.
I know. I don't even think. I don't even think that was the whole factor. I mean, that was the biggest chunk of it, right? But like, knowing some of the people that he's encountered, like going through all of this, trying to put it together. I think there was at the time, before we've kind of rebranded that image a little bit, a toxicity level on Speedsofters, because everybody, at least in our area in particular, always saw Speedsofters as kids who just feather the trigger and go sprinting and play crazy aggressive, which is, if you've seen the sport, that's a small part of it. That's not entirely of a whole of what it is. And so because of that, I think they were afraid, like you said, aside from it being new, but just thinking that it was going to encourage those type of players to come around. They were like, we don't want that. No. And then the fields who did, on occasion incorporate it or give it a shot, they gave it like a one-time, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we're not doing it again. And it happened to be like the one time that we would do it, the turnout was small, so they didn't see the money-making like option or opportunity in it. And they're just like, oh, you guys only had 15 players come out to this? Yeah, we're not doing this again.
And I think the other thing too is like the West Coast is a machine in itself. Like they're just, you guys have better weather than us. I mean, you might have earthquakes, but I mean, screw it. But yeah, the community out there has just been growing so much longer than us, and to an extent, there's a unity in California that's not here on the East Coast, and it's made it. I don't know. It's like being in high school, right? And you walk into the cafeteria, you have the different cliques of kids sitting at different tables. That's the East Coast at the moment, and I hopefully this year, we'll see a little bit more unity, kids coming together, trying to play in different events.
Field owners too included.
Exactly. And that's the only way we are going to grow. And one of the questions I got on Instagram for tonight was if we were ever going to see a national airsoft league. And
I hope.
Like, to a degree, I think we could do it. The U.S. is just absolutely enormous. There's so many states, so much space, so many players potentially going into a single league, but that would take the effort of like multiple leagues merging or coming to an agreement of some sort to get things moving.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know what? So we actually have a ranking system. We've been working on for like the past 5 years. It was on and off, but then we like during the pandemic we kind of ramped it up and we finished it up. So that's how I feel like airsoft can get on the map, because there's no ranking system at all. There's no, you don't know, like teams, they always get new people all the time, and you're basically, the only thing you guys have is basically ranking the teams how the team performed only. Yeah. But it's that, as far as the players, we kind of take it down to the player level, and we're basically counting, like this year we're counting win losses per game per player. So I mean, let's say Keegan sat out, like 3 of the games. Yeah. Okay, or 2 games out of the match. We're gonna know he sat out 2 of the games and he only played 1 game in the match. So the problem with paintball, it's the same problem, is they only count the team effort, not the individual effort. So we have people going through the system where, let's say, like there's on a paintball team, there's usually like 10 players that are on a squad of 5. They have like, a lot of subs, but then there's usually this one guy, or it depends. They usually a rich kid that pays for a lot of the stuff, but he's not that good at playing. I'm not saying all rich kids suck, but I'm just saying there's a guy who pays for a lot of it, but the guy doesn't play really. They'll put him in for a point just to satisfy him. But so this kid will stick with this team, paying for this team, and he's moving up the ranks. They started at D5 to D4. They're in D3 now, but this kid is only a D5 level player.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get left behind, and as like a league owner myself doing paintball, it would be crazy. At the beginning of the year, I would get all these calls. John, please D-rank us. There's no way I can play D4. I played D5 last year and I barely played, and I'm not good. I can't make it in D4. And it just shows that like all these, there's a lot of people that aren't qualified to be in these divisions. They're just getting bumped up because the team did good.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because then it just turns into it's weird because paintball has like now it's D6 through D1.
Okay.
That's a lot of divisions, you know, and dude, there's a lot of sandbagging going on. It's crazy. So it's hard. So
when I was playing racquetball, they dealt with that scenario where people would sandbag in a lower grade, and if you had won X amount of games in a specific grade, you had to get moved up. Again, that's also all on like a personal level. So there's that. But they also did it in reverse, where if you weren't winning games in the next level up, they would put you back down, which I really liked.
That happened to me in soccer. My team, I just played rec soccer growing up along with basketball. But the soccer league that I played in, one season we did really, really well. We were in like a B, it was A, B, and C. We were in the B team like section or division, and we squashed everybody in that department, like multiple, like it was like 7-1 every game, which is not normal in a soccer game. So they bumped us up to the A division, and we got squashed every game. It was like 3-0. I mean, we held our own, so the points weren't as high, but it was like 3-4-0 every. And we're like, well, this was a shit season. This wasn't fun. So they put us back down into the B group, and same thing. We would just win again. So it was like there was for a while where we were bouncing back and forth between the two because it was like, we're too good for this group, or not good enough for this group. So we don't know where we are. Like, we're right in that middle.
Yeah. So what we want to do is like we're gonna at the end of the year when we get all the stats for the league is we're gonna find out who the cream of the crop is in like amateur B, and then the lower guys in amateur A, and we'll figure out a number where we'll bump the amateur A guys back down to B and move the B guys up to A, depending on like how they do.
So, like, let me ask you, I guess, this then, right? So, like, if you have two established teams, right? Well, just for example, we'll say TSA and Murder Inc., right? Two teams that I'm familiar with. And you can use... Yeah. Anyway, so let's say, like, 5 of the TSA guys typically play a lot, and they win a lot. And then, let's say, the Murder Inc. guys, let's say they play a lot, and they win a lot, except for, like, 1 or 2 of the guys that happens to either sit out or plays a game where they happen to be on that losing game.
Yep.
And that's kept record by you guys. Will those guys who are on that team be bumped down a division and not be able to play with those guys? Or how would that
No, but here's the good part. Yeah, here's the good part. We allow like amateur B players to play amateur A.
Okay. So you can play up, but you can't play down.
Yeah, you can't play down.
Yeah, you can always play up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would
I do want to toot John's horn. For anyone that's in the chat and doesn't know this information already, we've been talking about stats and keeping track. Not only is John doing this on the team level, but also the player level. And then addition, if there wasn't already enough, icing on the cake, he also has individual player cards for people to check in, right? You guys are doing that where you have like your QR code on your code or on your card, and then you can figure out like what your stuff is. I mean, it's a whole nother layer of gameplay that gets me really jazzed because I'm a numbers person. I love looking at the stats and seeing how people perform. The only thing we lack is just like the manpower, but besides the point, that in itself is absolutely amazing, and like pat yourself on the back. That's phenomenal.
Well, and your whole crew or whoever helps you do what you do, because like I know out here trying to just get people to be on board with like either A, not being a player and contributing to something that's going to grow and be a part of that in like a different sense, like whether you're a cameraman just starting out and need some stuff for your future as a cameraman, photographer, whatever. A lot of these people, I think on the East Coast, see, I think this is where our delusion on the East Coast differs from what's on the West Coast is in a business perspective. We see a lot of people out here who see what happens on the West Coast or out West as far, and this just translate, and this is from influencers to celebrities, everything that's out there, right? We see all these people who go, oh, we see them make it by doing it easily and doing it this way, this way, this way, or from doing this, this, this. They're getting paid to do that. Why can't we out here? It's like, oh, because you don't understand. They went through the grind of months and years of not getting paid doing their craft until somebody started something where they could get paid. And the people out here are just so, I don't want to say greedy, because like they recognize that they have a skill and a talent, so they want to be paid for it, rightfully so. But it's just like sometimes you got to start in the dirt making nothing to become something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't think a lot of the people see that vision yet for what's going to come, at least out here. So with that being said, our manpower lacks, whereas out there it's kind of already pre-established in a sense. Everybody knows that where if you stick with something on the West, it's going to grow because people out there have the vision and the tenacity to make it happen. Whereas on the East Coast, we do, but we typically only see that in like bigger cities like New York or like DC, or if you go down south, like Atlanta, Georgia, or like really, really massive cities. But if you're not in those particular areas, it's just kind of not like that. And
You
I
just
think
gotta,
that,
you know what?
yeah,
It's the same thing here. It's just you gotta find the right people,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Very.
I mean, look at me. It took me. I've been in it for since 2011, and
yeah,
yeah, you get to know a lot of people, you know.
networking.
But yeah, you're gonna find those people. You just gotta look out for them. Yeah, just find them someone who like believes in what you're doing, then they'll help you out.
Mm.
But then it does come down to money, and just
Yeah.
give them a few bucks here and there. But if they feel like they're part of the team, they're gonna help you. And
Yeah.
that's how we started out. We started out with like nothing,
Yeah.
zero. And a lot of these leagues on the West Coast, they were established. They had money backing. We did
Yeah.
it. We started from zero, and it's just like that, like grassroots thing that you just keep at it, and they see you keeping at it, and then they start going, okay, let's go. I want to be a part of that now. And it just takes, you just gotta, yeah, it's the time. It's time.
Yeah.
You just gotta let it just be better and better. Just
People
keep on
just-
going better and better.
And I think the only reason people don't see that the time and effort that you actually have to put into it is because
It's a lot.
we're in such an instant gratification world with everything, technology, everything, to where people are like, oh, you mean I have to put in a couple of years of work before I can see this payout? Nah.
Right.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think I got a little bit of appreciation from the guys up north because they started running, monthly events up there, and yeah, man. I mean, they're going through a rough patch. I know they're trying to figure some things out.
that's because they're still in their infancy of making it
Yeah,
happen.
but it was cool to go up there and be like, "Yo, man, thank you for coming up. It's gonna be nice when you're coming out here doing an event." And I was like, "Yes, I've partially made it. Finally."
I think that was a big part of the excitement too for me with like helping Keegan with all this, not just as a friend to him, but like for a long
Oh,
time.
we're friends.
I
kidding.
mean,
I'm just kidding.
however you want to look at it. But either way, like growing up, I always I remember just driving in the car like on vacations, going places, passing like buildings or fields, and being like, that could be a really cool airsoft field. I'd make that an airsoft field one day, or I would do this. Like I loved airsoft so much that I was just like, maybe someday something will come of this sport that I like. And then when I got to know Keegan better, he was like, yeah, I eventually plan to, start my own league, someday own my own field. And I was like, oh, so we have very similar, somewhat aspirations. Let me hop on this bandwagon and help out in any way I can. So
But
I
yeah,
do,
but
I
see,
do what I can.
This
Yeah.
man here.
And I do
This
it all
is the
for
guy.
I do it all for free. It's just because I like him and I want to help him.
Yeah, see, I'll tell you this, right? Jacob is great help. I'll give him that. He's great help. The only thing that sucks is when an event come around and I'm like, hey man, you want to help out? He's like, no, I'm playing. Like, you know I'm playing. I'm like, exactly, you piece of shit. God damn it. But
I can't help. I gotta play while I'm young. I gotta play while I'm young.
Yeah, my knees are blowing out, so it is what it is.
Oh my.
Fajita, one of the guys up in New York, did ask is if there's any possibility of allowing another organizer to use your platform.
Of course, just give us a call, dude. We can customize it to whatever your scoring situation is. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So
it's a little background about. No, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
The thing is the ranking system. I want to have other people use it because then it's all connected into one website. So now we have like a national database,
right?
And and that's one step closer to having like a national league. Is you have to have something that brings everything together
and someone to kickstart it like yourself. So thank you for that.
Oh,
like you're welcome.
But I think that's the major key, and it's just like for me, from paintball, it's like, dude, it's the format. It has to be watchable, and that's the main key. If you're gonna get something like really, big going, and you know what? I know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this red zone for it, we've had it for like 6 years now.
Toot away.
Yeah.
And dude, my wife hates fucking paintball. Hates that shit. And she would have to come with me, like the early years, like year 1 through fucking 8. She was, helping me run the events, and when we started doing Red Zone, she's like, "Holy shit, I like watching this." So it's funny because like every time it's like, "Oh my god, there's a Red Zone match," you like run up on the booth and just watch. And we would ask like fathers and mothers and girlfriends, like, "Do you understand what you're watching here?" And she's like, "Yeah, you just gotta hit. They're gonna try and hit that buzzer." And if they miss, they're gonna get shot up like hell. It's like, it's insane. And
go ahead.
And it's fun because these points come down to the wire sometimes. Mm-hmm. A lot of them will bounce back because it's like win, lose. But then sometimes a lot of the times these games will come within like 2 or 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 points is a buzzer. Hit 2 points, you win. So they're really really, it's just intense to watch sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's what you want. You want to be able to like have that crowd know what's really going on, and then see these guys, like, okay, you could, like I said before, it's like, oh my god, oh shit, they shot the guy on the 50 out. They got no way of scoring. The other guys have their 50. He's gonna go. What's gonna happen? But that's you want to bring in the general public into this.
Right.
It can't just be the players. And for years, it's like paintball it's just player based. There's no real fans. The only fans are the players. And you got to have like fans. You have to have, Aunt Sally and, all her friends, the grandmother. They want to go, here, that's my son. Look, that's my grandson. He's going for the buzzer. Holy shit,
To piggyback off of that a little bit, like some of the things that you said, one of the things like your wife endearing and going through all that. Shout out to Keegan's wife, Riley.
I'm literally a younger version of you right now.
Yeah,
it's literally what's happening.
Quite, to a T, because like, and this is my like weekly shout out to Riley because I do one almost every time we have a podcast.
Later about it.
Yeah. So anyway, she helps Keegan a lot, and she was at the events, and her and I, she knows me because I'm friends with Keegan and everything. She knows our whole team. But at our championship event that we had last year, one of the exciting things for me, which is like typically in Speedsoft, like you're supposed to be quiet, like you don't want to give any visual or like verbal cues because that's the point of the sport, right? You don't want to have the advantage. But like I did hear like say an encouraging, like, hey, go Jacob, like no hints, nothing, just encouraging me, right? And that was very motivating. When I was in the snake, I was like, oh shit, someone's watching me and like wants me to do good in this moment. Okay, cool. And we were live streaming the whole thing, but the cameras meant like nothing to me because like I can't hear anything. There's no atmosphere to it. And then like his parents were also there and were watching, and they had never seen anything like what we have done before at all. So for them to be able to follow and keep up with what was going on from where they were watching too was really cool. Like to make
It
sure
was
that
really
they
cool to have them there and watch. If they were following, I don't know. That's to be determined. But,
hey, they understood who won and who lost. They knew that
yes,
much.
they understood who won and who lost. I do remember talking to my mom after the fact, and she was like, "So I still don't understand. You have to get the flag, but what are you doing between then?" And I was like, "Come on, mom. It's like, I know we talked about this beforehand. Come on." But no, you're right. Like, it has to be more digestible, and I think you guys are doing a really good job of it in your platform. I have to shout out KWA and the Fight Night series because they've done a pretty good job of making it more of like TV show-esque and more digestible for the general public. It's not some scary game with people and guns and all this other shit.
They're making it a very spectator sport,
Yeah.
camera-wise, right? Like not just in person, but camera-wise.
You know what's cool though? I'm like seeing a lot more. They're trying to step away from the real gun look, which is that's awesome for the sport. I think that's great because when you start televising this stuff, and you see some guy with a fucking AR-15,
right,
like
or
looking
even
gun,
or just like our handgun,
or a handgun. Yeah. People,
they freak.
I'm from California, so there's a lot of anti-gun nuts here,
right?
And they freak out. They're like, oh my god, they're shooting like pistols at each other and like assault rifles. So, I mean, I would love to see more of these guns come out that look nothing like an AR platform or an AK platform or anything that actually has its own shape, just like the paintball gun. So it doesn't look as scary to these people, and that's the thing. It's like we could as a sport, you could run into a lot of trouble if it looks like they're using real guns on people, and then it'll give them more ammunition to say, oh, you can't back this because look at what they're doing. They're teaching the gun culture and blah 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 blah.
I think it's one of my favorite things in whole about the Speedsoft style of things is because like it's very colorful, it's very vibrant, it's very make my gun unique to me, whether it be a paint job, a unique build that I came up with that doesn't look anything like a real AR, or like even if you have a handgun like a high kappa, there's the custom build ones with all the fancy colors and parts and things like that to make it look different. And it's like that alone makes it cool to watch because you're like, oh wow, pops of color first of all. Second of all, that's not a real gun. What's that he's holding? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And
I get it, like.
And it promotes innovation, right? Like you're creating something new.
TJ's in the chat. Now, I know how he feels, but he says airsoft markers. Me and TJ think similarly to an extent. Like
I think I know where you're going with this. I might agree.
Airsoft shouldn't emulate paintball 100%. I do agree. Like there should be something that's a little bit more creative when it comes to what the replicas look like and things of that nature. Because it's still scary to the public. I can't have my M4 in the back seat and just like out and then have a cop pull me over and be like, oh, that's an airsoft gun. No, he's gonna be like, I swear to God, you move an inch and I'm gonna shoot you. And then I get it, But if I have a paintball gun or a marker in my back seat, someone's gonna be like, oh, he's going to play paintball. Like it's much more distinct. So I could get down with it to an extent. I mean, I have one of the paintball grips myself, so I can't, be a hypocrite. But I don't know.
I agree to an extent too. Like I like the fact that like because airsoft guns look and are meant to be like replicas of the real thing, that's ultimately what has made our sport different for the longest period of time from paintball is the look of the two. You have one that looks more real. You have one that's more, cartoony and fun. It's weird looking and it shoots paint. And then you have ours that's real looking and it shoots a BB that you can't see like you could with a bullet unless you have tracers, right? But so it's like gives you that realism, and then you have like you're for fun. But like the fact that you can now, especially with the innovation of airsoft, is you can have that middle ground of fun, funky, that's not quite exactly like a real gun, and it meets in the middle of those two things, I think is great.
Fajita said it perfectly. Airsoft in itself is still, kind of taboo. And
Yeah.
it's true. It's like
and
underground version of paintball.
Yeah, and then TJ also mentioned like EA, the Rhode Island field, Extreme Airsoft. They actually have a spectator booth, so that you can sit in for parents to watch for just public play. But it works out because the way they put the speed field that they made is on that side, so spectators can actually go up in the box.
It's nice too. Like
Wow.
it's not small. Like the windows they have are easily, I don't know,
8 foot, easily 8 foot window.
8 foot in width, and there's 2 or 3 of them. So it's
wow.
It's really nice, and they have couches up there and tables.
Yeah, they got couches, tables. Like you can
nice.
and they offer like food and stuff too for like the parents that are there and or players. So like you can go get food, drinks, whatever, and then go sit in this booth and watch. Like it's like a
that's
fully
cool,
functional.
man.
Yeah, and that's
really
just
cool.
that's their everyday field in their community. They're awesome up there. Their staff's great. I mean, we've said multiple things about them on multiple episodes because they just keep coming up.
Hey, anyone from Extreme, Chuckles, if you're in here by chance, I doubt you are. If you just want to hit up a TSA with a sponsorship, I mean, we'll come up more often. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, they have a great field, and it would be nice to have more stuff like that on the East Coast.
Yeah, not really, this way.
You have 2 fields on the East Coast.
3.
I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say SS and Extreme. Valhalla's getting there.
I wasn't gonna say Valhalla.
What else were you gonna say?
Where else did we go last summer?
Nashville is not the East Coast.
Okay, but it's
a
where it's
spectrum.
But like when you're traveling
Eastern
down
US.
the east.
Sure, gotcha.
Yes, it's not a coastal state. However, when you're traveling down the east.
Over.
Yeah, but if you drew a line literally down the middle of the East Coast state,
right.
Tennessee would be ran through.
We're not. We're gonna agree to disagree. What's actually really funny? So the guys from PBZ, they're actually from Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, that area. And
Midwest, technically is what they're called.
I'm sorry?
They're technically in the Midwest.
All right, cool. Just making sure I heard you right. Steve, who runs their podcast, actually, they might still be going. If any of you guys want to watch, he calls them the East Coast, but I think SpeakyB kind of ruined that. That sounds so condescending. I'm sorry, it's not. SpeakyB labeled Nashville as like the East Coast, which I get why everyone would say East Coast. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, that's like a whole 10 hours from here, 12-hour drive. Either way, that's my small rant. I'll stop. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me put it this way. I'll put it in a more simple fact. Rather than call it East Coast, on the Eastern Front, there are 3 main really good fields on the eastern side. Mm-hmm. EA, Nashville, and SS. As far as like full-size fields that are massive and have huge staff, can cater to Speedsoft and Rec Play, those fields. I mean, our field, I don't want to shit on our home field, TAA. They've done a lot for us. Their size isn't there to be able to do all that.
Yeah. So you guys played at N1 and you've played at CQB City. CQB City seems to be like a pretty large field, at least for your guys' setup.
Oh, God. Dude, that feels like 60,000 square feet. Jesus. It's gnarly. So that little area, that's just a little area where we do our Airsoft, our Speedsoft. That's a little separate area. And then, boom, it's like only like maybe under a quarter of that is the Speedsoft field.
That's insane.
And the rest is it's crazy. It's fast.
Do you know the total square footage of the fields that we play at, like our home fields?
No.
Ian, you know Rockville's square footage, right?
Rockville's playable field is, I think, just over 4,000.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about CQB. You don't get any more CQB than that.
Oh, yeah,
It's tiny.
And then Manassas has only got to be like 6. It's not much bigger.
I think they're 7.
5 or 6.
7,000. But yeah, we don't have any fields that are super crazy big.
We used to in
our
my area.
immediate area.
I would
Yeah.
think it would be bigger out. You would have bigger fields out there indoors because it's the real estate's cheaper than what we're doing in California.
It is.
I would think you would have like 70,000 square foot warehouses that you guys are doing.
So there are a ton of warehouse spaces in order to like rent out and put a field. You could have actually right next to Rockville. There's a 60,000 square foot soccerplex or sportsplex that would be perfect. I mean, they already have separate fields for indoor soccer or basketball set up, so you could do that. It could be a thing. Not that I've thought about it. Whatever.
At all, ever, never, no.
Never, totally not. But the problem is the player base on the East, especially in our area, I would say, isn't as big. You have, I mean, there's a lot of military installations or bases around here, and you get more Milsim catered events or fields. There's more paintball fields that do airsoft on the side than there are indoor airsoft or specific outdoor airsoft fields. It's just not there yet. We have seen a bigger wave within the last years. I'm not saying I did this, but
just in general, it's grown. The interest has grown slightly.
Yeah, especially for indoor play, and yeah, I know Full Auto is going to be opening up, and I think their field.
Fajita said it perfectly for at least out here. Permits and city town approval are usually what snuff the potential fields. So
Yeah,
like
wow.
I know in my particular county, in our area where the Manassas field is, our owner, because of cost, went with the space that he went with, but as well as for him to even own the field that he does now, it was a hassle to fight with our county laws, or well, not laws, but our county permits and everything, because our county, from the previous experience of the larger field that we had before and how they conducted business and things, when I was younger, when I got my start, that field kind of was like the ruin it for a lot of people.
You guys? Oh,
because there weren't as many like at the time in the area. It was kind of like I like to say it as like a thrown to the wolves kind of situation, right? Because like it was run by like shady business owners who weren't like, official business owners, but were trying to be entrepreneurs and weren't really there. They cut corners on purpose because they didn't want to pay for things or couldn't afford to pay for it. All these, business loopholes, things that happen, right? And they managed to stay open and avoid the things they needed to avoid up until, push comes to shove, doors come crashing down and things happen. But the community then too also was like, not like it is now. A lot of the players were, like your typical, like at least the era of players that I saw that were older than me at the time, they were a lot of like your druggies, your like guys that are into cars, like you're very Rough Rider type crowd. It wasn't like, oh, let's bring our kids here and have a fun family weekend. It was like, should we leave my parents, my mom often at times was like, should I leave my 13-year-old son here with these people on a weekend by himself, or should I stay?
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but she actually like, my mom is a very non-opinionated person. She'll get to know people before she makes that judgment call. So she actually got to know them, and they were very nice people. But like I said, that Rough Rider crowd look to them. So they were just, it was kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. And then on top of that, you add the mix of realistic looking guns and firearms, and you're like, okay, yeah, now I really don't know. And so it was a very complex time, and because of the things that occurred during those years, it kind of ruined it or made it more difficult for things in this area.
Oh man!
And we're close to DC, and DC doesn't allow any replica firearm things at all.
Oh wow!
I thought it was funny a couple years back. Our home fields put up on Instagram that they were going to open a new field in DC.
Is that April?
Yeah, for April Fools, and people were losing their shit. They're like, "There's no way you're gonna have it down in DC. That's crazy. There's gonna be so many people. Blah blah blah. It's such a big space." And like completely forget the fact that you can't actually have like firearms like that in DC. It's like, come on, people. We should know this by this point. Like, you can't fall for this.
Okay, I gotta ask you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you take a flight, how do you bring an airsoft gun on the plane? How do you transport your stuff?
We're
So,
actually
I wanna
new to
know
that too.
Yeah, we have to learn this process, but the way
This
it
will be our
works-
first time experimenting it
Oh
this
my
alley
God.
trip. So
Oh, really?
we'll
I don't know if Patriot Airsoft is still in the chat, but if
or
you,
TJ.
or well, I mean, the different reason. I know TJ knows.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Patriot Airsoft, if you're still in here, you can clip this for me and we can put it up later. But in order to take your replicas or whatever you want to call them, your airsoft shits, onto an airplane, you have to check that. It has to be like your checked luggage first and foremost.
Right.
And it has to be in a hard case. And the way the TSA, not us, but TSA explains
Actual TSA.
yeah, is that you have to it can't be easily accessible. So when you get to the airport, you have to have locks on all the holes that can have locks, and then you check it in as a firearm with TSA, and then they put like the approval sticker inside your case and all that other stuff. Going to California is a little bit more difficult because California is like no. So the graphic we found, you have to put orange tape around the muzzle, the rail, the lower receiver, the upper receiver, the grip, and the buttstock. And the magazines can't be in the rifle itself. So it's a lot. We have to do a lot in order to come to California. But once we get there,
that's crazy.
It's easy-ish.
So I guess so. Like the at least what I plan to do is I'm going to, in my hard case, if I have the space, depending on which guns I choose to bring, I'm going to disassemble upper from lower receiver along with the tape and then set them in there separately. That way you can see that visually, A, the gun's not together. B, it's a replica. It's not a real firearm. And C, it'll have all the excessive tape that it needs to indicate, hey, fake firearm. Then on top of that, like TJ said in the chat, you have to declare it as a real firearm, even though it's fake.
Yep.
And once it's declared, you know, go like Keegan said, it gets locked up and you take it through.
Damn. Seems like a lot. That's
It
crazy.
is. I mean, but that's the process for real firearms traveling too. So like, except I know they take it one step further on real firearms, or at least from what I've seen on like the Border Patrol shows and stuff that I watch, they make real firearms carriers, even though they declare it, have to have a safety lock on the triggers themselves. Like the trigger locks that you can get, every single firearm that you're traveling with has to have one of those on it. I guess it also depends on who you fly through too.
Right.
I would assume that makes a difference. But in the shows that I've seen from those particular airports that they were flying out of, that was a rule, is that they had to have trigger locks along with gun case locks on it.
Damn. That's crazy.
Scotto made a dad joke. I'm proud and disappointed all at the same time. But he said, but TSA has a cold-blooded killer. Jacob's name is CBK, which stands for cold-blooded killer, so whatever. Bad dad joke. Either way, Fajita also said, you know, some people ship their guns out in advance. I agree.
Yeah,
I would be way too scared to do that. I mean, we had talked about it for the trip in April, at the beginning of April, and it was just like, if we were to ship them out, one, it would have to be like 2-3 weeks in advance, just in case anything happens. And then on top of that, fuck, man, like my hard case is not small, and that bitch is heavy because I have a ton of gas mags in it. So I'm gonna be paying some. It'll probably be the same as like check bags for the airlines when you get to the weight, and whether it be with USPS or UPS, you're spending a good bit of money in order to ship it out, and then you have to ship it back. So, yeah.
Or either way, it's not cost efficient either way. But I the only way I would ever trust shipping my stuff like that, is if I do priority mail. No matter who I ship it through, it's going to be priority, so it's going to have insurance on it because I spent all that money on my guns.
Right.
Second, I'm only doing that if like the field owner themselves of the place that I'm traveling to is like, yeah, we will take it, set it aside, and when you get here, bada bing, bada boom, you're good to go. Right. That's the only way I'm shipping my stuff. I'm not trusting sending it to some Airbnb or hotel or like some like mail pickup center where I can go pick it up at that center, and then they'd be like, "No, we never got your box." Like, no, sorry. The only way I'm doing is if I ship it directly to that retailer or field.
No, that's scary. That's
Yeah.
scary. So, question for
Oh,
you.
I have to say I had a question for John too, but you can go first, Keegan.
I was gonna say, if you talk, I'll forget it and it'll take forever.
I know.
Now, so the question for you, John, what's your future plan? So you just got your first event down into SoCal with Project N1. Are you going to continue down the path of either venturing more out east or just getting a better foothold on the west?
So right now, basically we're trying to get a foothold in the West first. So we already have another field down in San Diego that we're going to do a demo at.
Nice.
Hopefully in the next couple, I don't know. I'm tired right now, man. I just came
No,
off
you're
like
good. You're good.
3 events. I'm like freaking, I don't know. They're like, come on, John, do it now. I'm like, oh man, come on.
Give me
It's
some
hard.
break. Give me some reboot time.
Yeah, I need a reboot, but I want to do the SoCal, NorCal thing and hopefully bring these two together and hopefully do 2 in NorCal and 2 in SoCal. And hopefully we have a sponsor on board that they want to take us to like Taiwan.
Wow.
And try it over there because they're like itching for it. And but yeah, we'll go anywhere. I mean, if a field really wants us to come out, dude, if the price is right and we can swing it, we'll come out and we'll do an event out there.
That was that was my question. Are you going to be are you open to traveling different places to hold events there aside from out west?
Oh yeah, oh god, paintball. We did a event in Cancun.
What?
It was
crazy.
nuts. It was crazy.
Cool.
It was really cool. It was on a soccer field. It was beautiful. It was like they had tents. We had like another promoter that was we partnered with, and it was awesome. They just had like it was weird. It was over the top. Every team had like a table, a little area with the tent, and they had a bowl of fruit, and they're like giving them free waters, and
that's great.
It was pretty nuts. And but yeah, we've traveled a lot, and I guess before the pandemic hit, we were running 3 leagues. We were running one in Arizona, SoCal, and NorCal. And actually no, 4. There's 2 leagues in SoCal, 1 league NorCal, 1 in Arizona. And so yeah, we could travel. That's like, I mean, look at back here. It's just like all of our stuff is everything Pelican cased and everything. So we're ready to go anywhere.
Don't know if you and Keegan have talked about this, but quick invitation or proposition for you. If you happen to be in the NorCal area or can make it, we'd love to actually meet you in person when we come out to California. So if you could come up to True Aim at that time, given your schedule, I know it's busy and crazy, that'd be great. If not,
I'd love to, man. I do, but you know how far away that field is for me?
How far is that?
I'm basically in Mexico.
Oh,
San Diego is like all the way down there.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's like what, like a 10, 12-hour drive then?
Yeah, about like a 8 hour, 8 hour to 9 hour drive. And if I'm towing a trailer,
longer.
12 hours.
Yeah.
But if not, I'm hitting like 8 or 9 hours. So it's a drive. I mean, I wish I was living up there, because I would I really want to go check out your event. And if you guys need help, I mean, dude, I'll have to put some stuff up on ours and get some of our teams out there. Because you know what I love about Airsoft is that these guys can play every freaking weekend if they want.
Yeah,
and
it's cheap enough. It's affordable enough.
It's affordable.
That's the great thing about our sport that not a lot of people talk about is the affordability.
So,
oh yeah.
To touch on this, like, we as a team bought what would be a case of BBs. 12 bottles of Tracer BBs, and it was, damn it, it was
$15
like
a bottle.
Yeah, it was like $183 for the case. And then you talk about like, and we're talking like, I don't know, 30 to 40,000 rounds, and you switch that over to paintball where you're getting a case where it's 5. How, John? Why is this a highway robbery?
It's a highway, dude. That's when I looked at Airsoft, I'm like, this is perfect because that's what I got all year long. Every year, all the years I've been doing paintball, I was like, man, John, we're trying so hard, but we can't afford it this time because these guys are paying, depending on the division and the format.
Yeah.
You're running like at the lowest maybe 15 cases to like 40 cases, and that's like $35 to $40 a case. You're talking like a paint bill, just the paint.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, up to like $2,000 an event, just the paint.
Right.
Then you got to pay for entry. You got to pay for room and board, travel. These kids are paying like a certain event. There's a bunch of events, but like a middle range event, one player, what they play one freaking event, can play the Syndicate, a whole team for like basically the whole year almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And then not to mention that kid's marker prices, hopper prices, pack for his gear.
Yeah.
And God forbid something breaks.
Dude, a tournament gun on average, the cheapest tournament gun that could work for you is going to be $700. That's just for the marker.
Yeah.
Then you got to buy the hopper, that's $200. You buy a tank for $200. Then you got to buy all the accessories.
You know you're getting a free barrel kit, like it. Yeah,
it adds up, and it's
fast.
Just that's what I like about it. It's like, dude, these kids, it's awesome. Your guns, I mean, maybe I've seen the monk guns go up to what, like $2,000 or something.
Yeah, at most.
But think about it, $2,000. But then you just need a tank, and then your BBs are like pennies on the, like, compared to paintball.
Yeah.
Like, I was like thinking about it. It's like, dude, one team playing my event, like if they did double elimination, these guys are probably shooting maybe 8,000 BBs or less.
It depends. Yeah, and it really depends on the
depends on how they shoot. But
like me, when I'm in the snake, I don't do a lot of shooting because I'm picking my shots, right?
Right.
So like I'll have 5 mags on me but in like one set of 3 matches, I maybe go through about 2 gas mags, and that's only 50 BBs because it's 25 per mag. So I'm literally only going through 50 BBs, and not to mention though my back players who are shooting excessively much more than me, but laning and doing whatever they got to do. But even then, they really don't. They go through a lot, but not as many as you would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're doing it like, we're building it up. It was funny because one of the teams. So the first event we ended up with 18 teams, but this event we didn't really raise the price because we were doing our demos there for $45 a head. Yeah. So it ends up we charged them $225 per team, but that was basically if they had 5 buys, that would have been $225 on normal. But we let them have like up to 6 players they could have. So it's basically kind of the same price. And then we were giving them, and then we had the ID cards were $25, which a paintball ID is like $50 and up, and they don't do half of what we do.
Yeah.
And then we got some kids, but they just don't understand like the price point of it. I'm like, dude, they're like, how come it's so expensive? And why do I need a player's card? And I'm like, well, you know what? It took us years and thousands of dollars to program this, our software. It's actually all custom, man. It's crazy. And I'm like, do you understand? Like in paintball, this event that you're playing with us, it's like $450 and up just for entry. You guys are getting it for $225, and you guys shoot nothing for BBs. So I mean, and I guess they just don't understand the price point. But I'm like, I trip out. I'm like, oh my god! But you guys.
See, for you look at it and you go, this is reasonable, and then but the airsofters who are used to looking at everything cheaper, they're like, wait, what? You got to pay this much to do this?
It always changes when you get into the scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like you're against. I couldn't even think of a good scenario right there, but either way, like we as event producers see everything that goes on in the background, and you're like, well, yeah, no shit, this makes sense. Like, this is completely reasonable. And like Jacob said, you're a player on the outside, and you're like, but this is more than my regular play. And it's like, dude, shut up. You realize I'm giving you a specialized format just for you, first off, not to mention all the equipment that we have. It's like...
we're streaming it so your little crybaby ass can go back home and go, Mom, it's me on TV.
Exactly. And as promoters, we're talking as promoters, it's like, it's like it's hard. Sometimes you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you understand how much work it is to do one of these events? It is like nuts. You know,
So-
like from the marketing to the promoting,
Yes.
to like getting all your equipment ready to go, to traveling. It's like nuts.
So I last year I actually got Jacob to come out to an event, and I was like, "Yo, I need your help to run an event. I actually want to play for once. That would be really cool." And he was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll come out. I'll help." And we talked after that, and he was like, "I'm never doing this again. I don't know how you do this." And I remember the team I was playing with, we got out early, so I ended up taking over like the scorecards and things like that. Because him and one of my other teammates, they were both doing it together, and I'm just like, just give me this shit. I got it. It's just funny.
Yeah.
But I was just like, it was like it made me have a newfound respect for what Keegan does, because it was like a lot of like I see before I did it right and took on for that moment. I saw a lot of people, myself included, at times be like, hey Keegan, hey Keegan, hey Keegan, like during the day of the event, for all the different things going on, and him service those people, those players, and get them what they either needed done or answered. And then on top of everything else that he was doing the day of by himself. And then like he said, when I took over, I actually had a lot of help. Who's going out, who's coming in, what team won, how many points did that team get? And then at the end of that, I got to tell you who's up next and who's coming on. And it was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know how he keeps track of. I was having just not enough time keeping track of like who died and then who's alive. And then after that, like going like, what's going on? But I think Keegan crashed. But
No, I'm here. I'm here.
I don't know if he crashed, then the stream crashed. But
Can you guys
just
hear me?
for his sake, we'll keep going.
Oh no. I'm here. No, I'm disconnected. No, mother. Go away.
Video and just.
Hey, look at that.
You're back.
Oh, he's back.
Where did we stop at before you froze?
Oh, well, I mean, I heard everything you guys were saying, and then Jacob was like, oh, I think Keegan froze. And I'm trying to be like, I'm here, I swear I'm here. But I know, oh God, I don't know if the chat's still in here or not.
Yeah, they're still there. They're still listening. I can see it. They said the stream did die, but we're back. We should be back.
Yeah, we should be back up any second. But I'm gonna take this as a sign. So normally the show only stays about an hour, and I enjoy the conversation that we're having, so I don't mind going longer. But if my internet's gonna shit out, I'm just gonna take that as a like, dude, you need to relax. Your computer's not meant for this. just go home and take the night. But with that being said, I'm gonna start our famous.
It is
music.
back up and running. Just so you know, it's back up.
Lovely. So,
Oh my God! Can I give a shout out to all the teams in NorCal?
please do.
Yeah,
please
dude,
do.
go.
Oh my God. So, dude, you guys, thank you so much. Freaking DVS, Savage, Tacos, Tribe. Yeah, wait, who else did I miss? Oh wait, Cryptic. There's so many of them. Okay, now I'm like
Team.
freezing.
What's
I'm
Ian
so sorry.
Fernie's team? Ian Fernie's team. What's his team that he plays for?
He's on DVS.
Okay, DVS. Which
Oh,
already said.
Problematic from, I hope to see those guys. He came down from Oregon to play our event.
Oh wow.
Nice.
And, you know the funny thing is we have a guy from the Netherlands coming to play guest with,
I heard.
That's
nuts.
I saw
It's like,
Anthony's
yeah.
podcast
That's
last
pretty
night. It is very cool.
So dude, much love to all my NorCal people and my new SoCal guys. Fuck it, we're gonna do this year. We're gonna like blow this thing up. But thank you guys for believing in what we're doing, and we're trying really hard to make this thing like a real sport. And we want to go national with guys. With these two gentlemen, I would love to like team up with you guys and like
anytime.
work something out. And But yeah, dude, just exciting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. One thing that I want to say before we go that I was pissed off about this year is that the Rhode Island trip Keegan actually just took when they went up there is our first trip not together that we've had to take because I couldn't get off work for that one. But like, so it broke our streak. But we had a streak of like what, Keegan, like 5 or 6 different travel trips that we had going.
It was real good.
So.
But yeah, all right. We are calling it a night. Thank you, everyone that has joined us today. John, thank
And
you
bared
very
with us
much.
through the
Thank you,
buffering.
guys.
Yes,
Appreciate
through
it.